Welcome to Open Arms, an honest conversation about firearms. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Brian Lockerman. And of course, in the control room, we have the lovely, the talented Nikki Wesley. How's it going today, Nikki?
Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, Nikki. Doing just fine out here.
Good.
Well, Nikki, we have a really good guest today, and he's an author of a book, which we're going to talk about. So today on my show, I have Tyrone Nichols, author of Jesus is Jewish. Welcome to the show, Tyrone.
Thanks, Brian. It's really exciting to be here, and I just can't wait to take a look at where our conversation is going to go.
Absolutely, Tyrone. Now, Tyrone, I learned a little bit about you, other than you being an author. I know that you're definitely a CCW carrier.
Yeah.
And you definitely are very politically involved in a lot of the candidates' campaigns as well.
Yes.
So from there, I want to go back and I want to talk to you about your history about owning a gun and having a gun. Did you grow up as a child in a family with firearms?
Yeah, I sure did. My father was in the military. My brother also in the military. We're a very pro Second Amendment family. I wouldn't call the family gun nuts, but we're definitely gun proficient.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you grew up like that.
Yeah.
Now, growing up in your family, did your father or anybody give you some safety training on firearms?
Yeah, so my dad took me, the first firearm I ever fired was a 30-06, and that was an experience.
Oh, gee, that is quite the experience to start off with a 30-06. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
geez.
And
Yeah, so we learned about safety right from the very beginning. And then as we got older, my brothers and I, we would head out to the desert down past San Diego, go out to 8, set up some firearms, and we'd begin to experiment with different firearms, kind of ones we liked and what we wanted to use for concealed carry. And then there was a place out in Vegas called Front Sight.
oh yeah, yeah.
And
I've
we
been
would go
there,
to
been there many times.
Front
Yes.
Sight, I don't know, at least once a year, twice a year, and head out there and just have a great time. And
Yeah, I noticed your jacket when you walked in, front sight jacket.
Yep.
I'm like, oh yeah, they're my type of guy right there.
Yep.
Just so the audience knows, just real quick, going back to that 30-06. If you know what a 30-06 is, it's basically a very large caliber rifle, and there's no really recoil in it. So you're getting all of it in the shoulder. And for that being your first gun, I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. It only took one shot, then I was like, oh, I think I'll wait on this one for a while again.
Exactly. Okay, so you did learn safety growing up then,
Yeah.
obviously. You were around guns a lot enough to know and respect them and make sure that you're safe with them, your family was safe with them. And again, that's what our project is all about,
Yeah.
Open Arms. We're trying to just keep people safe with firearms and, of course, bring back that family values and not to mention that Second Amendment.
Yeah.
We have to keep our Second Amendment alive. And I know you're out there doing a lot of that too as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, you were telling me that you're doing a lot of like events or something like that.
Yeah, I'm heavily involved in a group called the Ventura County Patriots Meetup.
Okay.
And we meet every month on the 17th, and we do two things. One is we're really all. It's actually started by a woman named Debbie Cohen. She's a Sadie Valley resident, and we're heavily involved in building the network of like-minded individuals who are just interested in bringing common sense back to the political arena. And so we meet once a month. We have different groups. For instance, we have a doctor who kind of runs our health and holistic group.
Oh, wow.
Then we have another woman, Eden, and she runs our homesteading group, teaches us how to forage and grow our own food, that kind of
Really?
thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
cool.
That's awesome.
And then you know Lori Mills really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Lori's
Oh,
going
yeah.
to be out this Saturday, actually, the 17th, and she's going to kind of bring us in on what's going on, give us a behind-the-scenes look at what's happening in the Republican Party.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then the following months, we have Dr. Judy Mikovits. She's going to come out.
Really?
Yeah, give us a nice little scoop on how to take care of our bodies and stay
Oh, wow.
healthy. And so,
You got some pretty good speakers in.
Yeah, it's a really good group.
That's awesome. That's great.
Good group.
Great to hear.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you're doing stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
Tyrone. It's very, very good to hear things like that. And again, we got primaries coming up.
Yep.
And we have to do whatever we can to try to get our state back.
That's
You know,
right.
That's the goal. That's for sure. And again, really, really focus on that Second Amendment, because without our amendments, what do we have? You know.
We don't really have anything. And if you take a look at what's happening around the world, the countries that don't have their Second Amendment, they're falling prey to this WEF, global, whatever they're trying to do. I can't really wrap my arms around it right now, but it doesn't feel good, whatever it is, right?
No, you're right about
And
that.
it's nice to know that there's a community of us who are willing to, handle firearms safely.
Yeah.
But we also know their purpose as well. And if it ever got to that point, it's just nice to know that there's a network of men
Absolutely.
that hold to these same values.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And like Nikki, I mean, we go to a lot of these events and a lot of these rallies and stuff like that. We're out there supporting, correct? What's that, Nikki?
Hello. Can you hear me?
you are.
Oh, here you
There
Hi.
you are. I
All right,
got
I'm
you
still
now.
learning over here.
That's all right.
Yeah, we love all the events. We met so many nice people, and it's a great community.
And it's
Yeah.
true. It's true. And Nikki, I mean, every time we go out, Nikki, we meet more and more people, and then we actually all bump into them again in certain different areas, and it's so nice to be networking with everyone, right?
Yeah, we met a lot of good friends along the way.
We did. We absolutely did. Well, that's good. Well, Tyrone, I really do appreciate everything about what you're doing. I love the fact that you're a CCW carrier as well. That makes me feel good. I mean, everybody went through the training to get their CCW. I respect that. Okay, so let's go to being an author. You're an author now of a book called Jesus is Jewish. Now, how did it ever come to play?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I was born and raised in a non-denominational evangelical Christian home. And I'm a product of Calvary Chapels. So I went
Okay.
to Calvary Chapel down in San Diego with a pastor named Ray Bentley, and now here up at Godspeak with Pastor Rob McCoy. And so that's kind of the soil of my spiritual journey.
Yes.
And along the way, I came across a promise in one of the Old Testaments, in the Old Testament, that basically says that God gave Abraham a promise that he would be his everlasting covenantal partner. And I thought, I wonder what that means really. Like, what does it mean that God chose Abraham as his everlasting covenantal partner? And I couldn't really find a good answer, to be totally honest with you. And that led me on a journey of discovery to figure out that actually Jesus is Jewish. And it's so funny, when I say that,
Yeah.
most people go, well, no, duh. Of course he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you fill 300 pages in a book with the title Jesus is Jewish? Like,
Exactly.
that's not easy. But when I say, no, he's Jewish, they go, oh, well, what does that mean? And the book is basically to answer that question. What does that mean, that he's actually Jewish? And I explore it in the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So you just explore of why he's Jewish, or what's the premise of the book though? What is it?
Yeah. So I guess you could kind of sum it up in a simple word. So the title is Jesus is Jewish.
Okay.
Right. I could have said Jesus was Jewish.
Uh-huh.
And most of us in our minds, especially those of us that are coming from, let's call it the broad spectrum of universal Christendom,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily see Jesus as a Jewish man,
Okay.
right? We kind of have this iconographic picture of him as, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, stained glass window, right? Western European, Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
It's kind of been passed down to us through the ages. And so we've got this caricature of him that very rarely depicts him as a Jewish man. Like, even thinking about it in your own head, like, how many pictures do you see of Jesus in your head as a Jewish person? Like, I can't think of very
No,
many.
you're right about that. Yeah, absolutely right. Now, I grew up, Christian as well, and of course we are always told that Jesus was Jewish.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. But you're right though. When you see all the photographs and things like that, you would never say this is a Jewish man.
Right.
Right.
And because of that, when we see him in our minds in a certain pictorial fashion, it leads us down like a semantic road path that's away from the authentic picture of the first century individual who actually walked the earth. And so the book tries to re-image him in his authentic clothing. So I want to put him back in first century Jewish garb. Like there's a series out, The Chosen, right now.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I haven't, but I heard about it.
So they're doing a pretty good job of trying to depict Jesus as a Jew in the first century.
Gotcha.
And then the second piece of the book tries to answer the following question, which is, if it's true that he is Jewish, that's not he was Jewish, but that he is Jewish, then how should that affect my faith? And should it? Should it, the way in which I practice my faith, the way in which I understand my faith? Or is it just a neat little nuance about Jesus that's kind of hanging over in the background?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, he's
yeah.
Jewish, but, big deal. 'Cause
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Nikki, when you grew up, were you taught that Jesus was Jewish?
I didn't grow up in a really religious household. So, I mean, we lit the menorah,
Okay.
Okay.
had a
But-
Christmas tree, but we didn't really do the whole.
You did the Chrismica thing,
We
right?
did the Christmas thing.
There you go.
Exactly.
But Nikki, but you've been told. Have you been told that growing up?
No, I don't think
Because
so.
I tell you, the reason why I'm asking, Nikki, it's funny because a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
They really don't.
It's really something else. And it has to do with the way theology has developed over the millennia.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to, for instance, let's pick a time in history in which the caricature of Jesus as was a Jew compared to Jesus is a Jew would begin to crystallize around 325 AD
Okay.
at the Council of Nicaea, when Christianity became the universal religion of Rome. And it began to define itself in antithesis to Judaism for various reasons. And what happened because of that is the theologians or the scholars call the period of time between, let's say, like 33 AD, his death and resurrection, to 325 AD as the parting of the ways. Like, how did this happen,
Yeah.
really? And then 325 kind of crystallizes the moment in time where it's like separate. And then we end up developing these two different faith traditions, right? We have Western and Eastern Christianity that go from 325 all the way to the Reformation, all the way to the Martin Luther, right? When he posts his 95 theses on the door and he says, hey, fellas, we might want to rethink the way we're doing our religion here a little bit. And out of that came the Protestant Reformation, which we're kind of the fruit of. Like those of us that go to Calvary Chapel or things like that, we're the fruit of the Protestant Reformation. So historically now, so you have this development of two different faiths, and the book explores the idea of a restoration, of going back to the original movement of Jesus and his disciples inside the confines of Judaism, inside the confines of first century Israel. And that's just such a fascinating exploration.
Wow. It sounds very, very, very interesting. Hey, Nikki, this would be a good book for you to read. I mean, I think you would enjoy this.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. Where can we buy it? It's on your website?
It's actually the best place to get it is on Amazon. Just go to Jesus is Jewish, type it in, Jesus is Jewish, Tyrone Nichols, and it'll pop right up.
Yeah, Nikki will post everything where people can find the book.
Yeah.
Learn about it more and things like that. She'll have all your social media, where to buy the book, and all that good stuff like that. But again, I think it'd be a very good read. I guess I'm going to tell you something about myself. I don't read books.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say, I from still today have never read a novel.
Oh, wow.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Now, I'm not the only one. Nikki's brother's just like me. We both like that. But you know what's funny? And Nikki can vouch for this. She reads a lot of books. And I enjoy, as weird as it sounds, when she's laying there reading her book, to be by her while she's reading her book, because it feels good that she's actually reading. I don't know what it is.
That's great.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, well,
you
maybe
know?
this will be the first one. Maybe I'll pull you out of your
maybe
shell.
I will.
Maybe this will be the first one.
Maybe I will. You know what? Maybe I will start reading it, and yours will be the first book. How special will you feel after that?
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. I've achieved my crowning glory of life if I get Brian to pull my book out.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting, and I tell you right now too, I watched you at Calvary do your thing,
Yeah.
whatever it was you were talking about.
Yeah. It was a replacing replacement theology at Godspeak.
Yeah. It was. You really know your stuff. I mean, I was engaged. I watched the whole thing, and you're very well spoken, and you knew facts.
Thank you.
Know, which is a good thing. And you seem like you really studied and researched this before you put this book out.
Yeah, so I began to think about the idea that Jesus is Jewish in 2008. So quick little history. I was running a small financial fund in San Diego in 2008, and we lost everything when the market crashed. And basically, I told God, I said, I don't really want to do anything else until I know you're real. Like, I wanted to have an experience with God that literally changed my life, where I could tangibly taste and see him.
Yeah.
And so I started hiking in the hills of Poway, California for almost a year and a half, 4 or 5 hours a day, just memorizing scripture and praying and crying and trying to figure out life. And it was during that time that I was introduced to the idea that Jesus' name is actually Yeshua.
Really?
He has a Hebrew name. Huh. No duh, right? Of course he does.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'd never heard it. I was 38 years
Wow.
old, and I'd never heard the idea that Jesus had a Jewish name, Yeshua. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's pretty profound.
Yeah.
So I began to explore that. And through that journey from 2008, I became so passionate about this topic, I actually decided to go to get my Master's of Divinity from the King's University and graduated from there in 2017 for the sole purpose, not because I wanted to preach or be a pastor or anything else like that. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
And so 2017, I got my MDiv with an emphasis in the idea that Jesus is Jewish. And since then, it's just kind of been one thing leading to another, and all of a sudden out pops this book.
You said something. It's something always in life changes you. You know, changes your mindset. And I tell you, I went through something not too long ago that was just very eye-opening. And I tell you what, it kind of changed my faith and my outlook on things. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. That's for another show, though.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
very deep. But anyways, I do understand that stuff like that can change you and actually put your mindset on something that you want to do and you want to create and you want to bring to share with other people.
Yeah. You know something, Brian? The biblical metaphor for this idea is called the wilderness. And each one of us, through various stages in our lives, go through a wilderness period. And it sounds like you were in one.
Yeah.
And what happens, and I've been in one for sure, maybe more than one, but all the superfluous stuff gets kind of washed away.
Yeah, you're right.
And you get this purging that happens where all things that really matter to you the most begin to surface to the top because another metaphor would be all the dross of the gold. So when people refine gold, they heat it up. Mm-hmm. And as they heat that gold up, the dross rises to the surface. And then the master goldsmith, he takes all that dross and he wipes it away. And he knows when the gold is perfected is when he looks into the gold and he can see his reflection. And the wilderness does that for us. When you went through what you went through, it began to remove the dross, the stuff that didn't really matter.
As absolutely true.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And that's the reason for it.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, for the entire day after, I couldn't even think straight.
Wow.
I would just always was focusing on that moment that I experienced.
The other amazing thing about this too, and because you went through this will resonate with you as well as it resonates with me. Sometimes you can go through a wilderness experience and you can miss the lesson. Paul tells us that all things work together for the glory of God. Well, how does the wilderness experience work together for the glory of God? I mean, that seems like a pretty painful way for that to happen.
Yeah.
But when you go inside, which it really sounds like you did, and become introspective, you begin to see the beauty of the fact that all the dross was removed during that time.
100%. 100%. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know just exactly what I went through.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And it's a common human experience that I believe God uses to get our attention.
I do too. I believe that too.
Yeah.
I believe it.
So,
Well, look, I think this book of yours is really fascinating. What you have researched and put together. I might just end up trying to read a book for the first time. I know it sounds so stupid, but I was the guy who went through school. Whenever we had to read a book and do a book, where I was the one who got the little crib notes and stuff like that, and just did my own.
All right, all you out there, send Brian a little email. Say, hey, Brian, here's your challenge for 2024. Pull out Nichols' book. See how far you can get.
There you go. There you go. I will definitely attempt that. That's for sure. Well, I really thank you for coming on the show and talking about the book. Now, got a real quick question for you. What's your favorite carry?
My favorite carry?
Yeah.
I carry the Glock 17.
17?
Yeah.
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 That the only one you used to carry?
So I'm a Glock fan.
Uh-huh.
I've got a 17. I've got a 19.
Nice.
And then I've got some rifles at the house.
Nice.
Both the ARs. California's kind of wacky on the whole AR thing right now.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is totally. It's just insanity that it's even a conversation.
I know.
But we got to just bring back common sense.
We
common
have
sense.
to. I mean, they're actually trying to remove that whole the California list, the gun list now.
Yeah.
They're trying to remove that. They're trying to remove, just.
One of the most shocking things that ever happened to me was this whole thing was when I think it was the Attorney General sent me a letter. And the letter said, hey, by the way, your name got exposed on some list because you're a CCW carrier. And I got this in the mail.
Yes.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know.
Are we that incompetent
I
that
know.
you're going to release all my information
Exactly.
to whoever has it on the dark web now because I'm a CC? What in the world?
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, again, I really do respect everything you're doing. I respect everything. You're fighting for the Second Amendment. You're helping our political movement. And this book you put out, I think it's fantastic.
Thanks, Brian.
Again, everybody, the book is called Jesus is Jewish. And Nikki will post everything, where to find it, where to buy it. We'll also have maybe some little blurbs, too, on our Instagram about it. We'll also tag you and everything. Now, where can people find you?
Yeah, probably the best place to find me right now is on my Substack. So you just go to tynichols.substack.com. And once a week, I'm putting out something new that either relates to patriotism, America, the country, or theology, which are my two passions. So
Perfect.
If those are your two passions, you might find my Substack really interesting.
Very nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you, Ty. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. I'd like to have you come back too.
That'd
Maybe
be
get some
great. I'd love
updates
it.
after the primary or something like that.
Yeah.
See how the book sales are going too
Yep.
as well. We'll definitely be pushing that for you on top of things.
Yeah, what you got going here, Brian, is amazing. So appreciative of what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I do. I love that when people tell us that, because
Yeah.
we did this for a reason. You know,
It's beautiful.
and it's working.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, that is our show for today. And I just want to say thanks to Ty. Nikki, you are going to post everything, correct?
Yes, everything will be on the description box below. Your Substacks, all your social media websites. Do you have an Amazon link for your book?
I do have an Amazon link.
Okay,
yeah.
we'll link that too below.
Perfect. Thanks, Nikki.
And where can they find us, Nikki?
And you can find Open Arms on Instagram at openarms.tv and YouTube, Open Arms TV. And if you have any questions about today's show, you can send us a tweet over on Twitter or X at openarmsdt.
Very good. Well, that's our show for today, folks. And always remember, safety, family, and the Second Amendment. Have a good day.